the big story that we're tracking for you is the Nirav Modi extradition case. A UK court has now said that Nirav Modi can be extradited to India. Well, what does this mean? What really is the timeline? Arvind Gunasekar and Radhika Iyer join us with the very latest. Let me first go across to Radhika, joining us live from London. Radhika, what happened in court?
Nirav Modi appeared via video conferencing. He was staring stark at the judge for 50 minutes that the judge read the operative parts of his verdict, his judgment, and the judge communicated with him in very cordial terms. Nirav Modi wore only one expression, that of uncertainty, I would say. And the judge, of course, read for about 45 to 50 minutes the most operative parts. And from the beginning, the narrative was very, very evident that the judge seemed convinced. And I say that because he reiterated multiple times that he did feel satisfied that there was a case on which Nirav Modi had to answer in India, had to be investigated in India. And he felt that prima facie, there was a case of criminal conspiracy. So on the first ground of several charges that the CBI as well as the Enforcement Directorate pushed or pressed on Nirav Modi, the judge felt that that there was enough reason to believe that there was criminal conspiracy, there was dishonesty with which these loans to the tune of 14,000 crore rupees were fraudulently and in connivance with a few corrupt officials of Punjab National Bank were taken by Nirav Modi as well as his family members. With regards to human rights, because depression and mental health issues become very, very critical in the UK as grounds on which even a case could fall. Whereas on those two particular grounds, which is both human rights with regards to conditions of prison stay if extradited in India, as well as on mental health issues, both again, the judge rejected the claims by Nirav Modi's lawyers. Incidentally, his lawyers are the same lawyers that represented Vijay Mallya 2 years ago. And it seemed like a deja vu moment for me because exactly 2 years ago, we saw Vijay Mallya's extradition come through in the same very court. So today, the judge said that as regards human rights, prison conditions in India seemed satisfactory to the judge. He felt that the Indian authorities had reassured by presenting videos as late as August 2020 from the Arthur Road prison in Mumbai, showcasing that particular barrack where Nirav Modi would be housed if extradited to India, which had enough access to light, enough access to food, to a bed, to a newly decorated bathroom, even had reassured that Nirav Modi could get access to private medical care for his mental health issues. So on all these grounds, it seemed that the judge felt convinced by saying so reiteratingly that he felt he should be extradited. And as procedure follows, this paper now will go to rest with the Home Secretary at her table for the next 28 days for her decision.
All right. Procedurally, what happens next and how is India looking at this news, Arvind?
Rishika, the Indian agencies are very happy with the verdict. In fact, they are claiming it to be the second victory for the agencies, especially CBI in the UK court. Earlier, we saw the CBI winning a case, extradition case against Vijay Mallya, also on this time with the same court giving a favorable verdict for the agencies in the second time with the Nirav Modi case. So what the agencies are saying is that, in fact, the order as per the process in the UK Extradition Act 2003, the order will be sent to the UK's Home Secretary, and the UK Home Secretary should decide on this particular order, signing the extradition order within 6 weeks. So the UK Home Secretary has 6 weeks time to take a decision, and then once she signs the extradition order, then Nirav Modi has the liberty to challenge the order of the Home Secretary signing the extradition order before the High Court, and then the High Court within 28 days from the signing of the order by the Home Secretary, the Nirav Modi has to appeal it before the High Court, and the High Court will hear the matter. So what lies next is something very important question. What the agencies are saying is that the judicial process in UK is it's never ending, and also it's a complicated process. So even after High Court gives an order, even if it's in favor of Indian agencies, again he might again apply for asylum, which is a confidential matter where the agencies have no role there. It's completely executive decision. Once even if that is rejected or accepted, even that can again be challenged before the court. So what agencies are saying is that it's a long road ahead, but the agencies are very confident very soon Nirav Modi will be facing the Arthur Road jail in Mumbai.
All right, Radhika Iyer from London and Arvind Gunasekar reporting from New Delhi. Appreciate you very much for joining us with those updates. We'll keep coming back to you for more as, of course, this story continues to develop. But what do these developments really mean from a legal standpoint? We have Avi Singh, advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us. We also have PKD Nambiar, a political analyst who supports the BJP, with us on the broadcast. Avi Singh, if I can come to you first, your first reaction to the developments that have taken place in the Westminster Magistrate Court.
Well, I'm glad people are not complaining about the speed of Indian courts for once. Yeah, it's a first step, and it's an important step, of course, for the government and the Nirav Modi or the larger PNB scam, where there has been fairly blatant criminality and money laundering that's been going on, which, of course, Nirav Modi is perhaps just one of the more egregious cases. It's, in fact, much more widespread. And, one wishes that the same alacrity was shown in prosecuting the other cases of bank fraud, particularly in the case of PNB that's been going on. But the other importance, of course, is that this magistrate has accepted that Arthur Jail is, in fact, a suitable condition for extradition. And frankly, there shouldn't have been any doubt about that. Indian prisons don't compare unfavorably to UK prisons in terms of basic, of course, there's difference in conditions in terms of basic human rights. And in terms of duality of the criminality, given the kind of transactions, as I mentioned, in the PNB sort of bank default cases, this is a fairly easy case for prima facie evidence and dual criminality. So, again, the proof of the pudding is going to come down to the asylum case, because I see it, otherwise it's a fairly clear-cut case.
All right, so it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens if the extradition is in fact appealed against in the High Court, and then of course beyond that, Nirav Modi also has the legal option of seeking asylum. PKD Nambiar, your first reaction to the developments?
I think it's a great news. The government of the land has already very clear that corruption has zero tolerance against corruption. And if you really look at Rishita, from February, when the Punjab National Bank has intimated the agencies about this particular scam, since then, the 3 years of the case history, if you really look at the government, the union government has taken it very seriously and zero tolerance. And to bringing back all these people is going to bring so much of confidence amongst the citizen, and also to a great extent that we are a country, this is not anymore a phone banking, will not work anymore. The defaulters cannot just fly away after defrauding the banks, defrauding the people. That is not going to happen. I think this is a great victory. It's a new India in a way. We are fighting against corruption. So far it was just a slogan. Now it is clearly visible, Rishida. I think you and me should be very happy that we have a government in the center who is really taking on, not just out of the slogans.
Right. Avi Singh, legally speaking though, is there really reason and cause to celebrate just yet, or would it be premature given the fact that we also saw the Vijay Mallya case reach this exact very point, and 2 years hence not much progress as far as his extradition is concerned?
I mean, I don't think it's premature to celebrate. I don't think there's anything to celebrate in an extradition case anyway. In the end, we have a banking crisis brought on by defrauding banks in connivance with bank officials, and we haven't done anything to solve that systematic problem. That's where we should be focusing. Individual criminal cases are neither cause for celebration, and if the extradition, for example, Mr. Mallya's is held up, if that doesn't work out, it's not cause of distress from a national interest perspective either. The issue is that there are particular criminal trials that will take their own course on particular evidence. So we really need to look at how did this occur, and what of the rest of the defaulters who haven't fled the country, and what's happening with them from PNB and of course from other banks also.
Right. From a timeline point of view also, it's going to be extremely interesting to see, Avi Singh, how this plays out. What's your sort of assessment when it comes to the timeline for this case going forward in the UK? Because we know that it goes to the Home Secretary, who signs the extradition. 28 days is the window that Nirav Modi has if he wants to appeal in the High Court, following which he also has the option of seeking asylum. What's the kind of timeline you'd peg these developments at?
Well, if the case is admitted in the High Court, we're looking at, if we take the Malia timeline as any sort of indicator, at least 1 to 2 years, even if the decision of the High Court goes in the agency's favor. So that's sort of the timeline. So there's, nobody's taking a flight and going into quarantine anytime soon.
All right. Nobody's taking a flight and going into quarantine anytime soon. Avni Bansal, advocate of the Supreme Court, also with us at the moment. Avni Bansal, your first reaction to these developments? All right. We seem to have lost that line. PKD Nambiar, though, politically speaking, how are these developments going to be looked at? The Congress hasn't so far reacted to any of these developments. We've been trying to seek a reaction. We're told there will be a press conference later. But this has also been, a huge bone of contention between the opposition and the government. The time that this entire scam was unearthed, and then to learn that Nirav Modi had already fled the country.
So, Rishita, it's a very good question. I'll tell you, there are two significance in it. One is that these are not, in a general in Indian context, when the people move out, the government of the land generally never pursues such cases in such a sincerity, which has never ever happened in the history. Second is that all these scams and all these defaulters, even if you remember the former Reserve Bank governor, Raghuram Rajan Jaitley once said, the most of these cases have been happened during the 2 years time of the UPA time. And there is a large amount of controversy on these. All these defaulters are coming from a particular time zone or under a particular regime, which is the UPA regime. I think if we are, because there's a big say in the Lutyens Delhi that if you order a loan on a call, it's a phone banking loans were given over the phone. So that is something which we don't want this culture for a new India. If we have to grow as a nation, if we have to build a new India, it has to be a zero corruption. These may be, as the lawyer in the panel said, that it may not be an individual case, may not be so significant. To me personally, it is a great significance. It sends a large message to all those people who are the defaulters, or be the defaulters to be in the planning. They will all be very careful, and also we will be sending a strong message to the large investors, not only in India, across the world. Here anymore, the corruptions have no place. And please understand, Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, Mehul Chokshi, all these people are basically.
You're saying that the UK court is sending out a message to investors in India. Is that what you're saying? The UK court sending out messages to investors in India. Let me quickly also get in a quick reaction at the moment from Avni Bansal as well joining us. Avni?
Hi, Rishika. I think it's a great win for the Indian legal system. I was very surprised when the former Supreme Court Judge, Mr. Markandeya Kadju, had given an expert testimony in this case, if we remember, right, saying that there's such a hostile environment against him, against Mr. Nirav Modi, that he wouldn't be given a free trial. And we should know that the Indian legal system is strong enough to give a fair trial to anybody and everybody. What I would strongly object to is the BJP spokesperson or the BJP doing, right? I mean, it is none of their doing. There's absolutely no role to play. Let's be very clear about it. And it is completely to their credit that they said that, prima facie, there is enough material against Mr. Nirav Modi, and that, we should extradite him on legal grounds to India. So it's not a political win. It's absolutely the US, the court's doing, and we should look at it exactly like that.
Well, it's a significant development.
No corruption in India.
It's a significant development, whichever way you look at it.
Rishika, if I can just add one thing.
Yes, very quickly, 10 seconds.
Very quickly, 10 seconds to Avni's point. What was said about Justice Kadju, which is of course a side issue, which is that he was driven by resentment towards his former senior judicial colleague, which is of course
I'm afraid I'm completely out of time. Thank you all very much for joining us. It's a developing story, and we of course will continue to track it very closely.